Hey YouTube, welcome to the definitive TemTem guide. Today, what we're going to go over is a couple of minor things I think new players should know when it comes to battling in TemTem. I think a lot of people are coming to this game from games like Pokemon, which I played as a kid, and although they're extremely similar and you'll pick up on it really quickly, there are a couple of things that will throw you off a little bit in the early game that I wanted to cover when it comes to battling. So we're going to jump right into it. I want to keep this video short. We're going to run through this grass a little bit here and get ourselves into a TemTem battle. The first thing I'm going to point out is that you'll notice that I throw out two TemTem at the start of the battle. And TemTem is a game that's 2v2. It's not 1v1. There are rare instances, like in this case, this TemTem happened to spawn as one TemTem instead of two. But almost every battle you're in is going to be a 2v2, so keep that in mind. There are a couple of Pokemon games that were strictly 2v2, but for the most part in Pokemon you do 1v1s a lot. So that's a different dynamic that you have to get used to if you're not used to double battles. TemTem is all double battles, so keep that in mind. So that's tip number one, not a big one, but something to note. Tip number two is that in this game, TemTems have a stamina bar, which is this blue bar right here. And you'll see each of my moves has a stamina cost, and that's what determines if I can use a move. It's like a mana bar system in most video games. The reason I point it out is because in Pokemon, all of your moves have a set amount of times you can use them before you can't use them anymore. Usually it's like 5 or 10 or 15, it depends on the move. But in TemTem, all you're limited to is your stamina bar. Now, if you don't have enough stamina for a particular move, it will still let you use that move. What will happen though is that your TemTem will become overexerted, and what that basically means is that they're going to take a little bit of recoil damage from using the move, and they're also not going to be able to attack the following turn. So if you're planning on using a move you don't have the stamina for, keep in mind those consequences. That's pretty simple and straightforward. I think stamina management is a part of this game. Every turn your stamina will build up a little bit, and there is this clock down here. If you click this, your TemTem will actually skip their turn, and by skipping their turn, it'll allow them to actually generate a little bit more stamina than what they normally would on a turn-by-turn basis. So that's stamina in a nutshell. That was tip number two. Tip number three is priorities. Now, Pokemon had priorities in it, but I feel like it was a little more cut and dry than in TemTem. So obviously, just like in Pokemon, all of your TemTem have a base speed stat, and that determines a lot of what order your TemTem go in during a battle. But all of your moves will have a different priority. So if I right-click on Glass Blade, you'll see that the priority is listed as 2, which is considered normal priority. If I go down to Head Ram, you'll see my priority is 1, which means it's actually slower. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that my crystal will go last. It just means that it's a lower priority, which means it will actually affect my speed stat for that turn. And I'm going to put up on the screen right now a listing of how priorities impact a TemTem's speed. So you can feel free to pause this and try to learn and memorize this. I'm not going to go through them all right now, but if you take your TemTem speed and you add or multiply to it based on what you're seeing on this screen right now, you're going to know what your TemTem speed is going to be for that turn, and that's going to determine what order everyone goes in. So keep that in mind. Priority plays a bit of a bigger role in turn order here than you might be used to from Pokemon. Tip number 4 is understanding a hold move. So you can see here my Mirror Shell is grayed out. I can't actually click it. It says it's not ready. That's because that move is on hold. What a hold move basically is a move you can only use every so many turns. So you'll notice here that my Mirror Shell move has a burgundy bar running through it that none of my other moves here have. That means that I can only use Mirror Shell every other turn. So I can't use it this turn. I'll be able to use it next turn. But if I do use it next turn, I'm not going to be able to use it the following turn. So I can only use it once every 2 turns. There are other hold moves that have even more bars than this, and for each bar, that's basically another turn you have to wait to use it again. Once it pops up, once you can use it, you don't have to use it right away. It's not like it's on a timer. But be mindful that once you use it, it's going to go away again for a set amount of turns. Now, obviously, those moves are a bit more powerful than standard moves. So you just have to be mindful of when you use them. It's kind of like Hyper Beam in Pokemon. You use it, and then you have to wait a turn before you can use something again. These moves don't they don't prevent you from using any other move. You can still use your next turn. It's just you can't use that move again. And I'll demonstrate that in a sec. So that's hold moves. Tip number 5, and probably the most important, is Synergies. So if I look here, my Crystal Dust has a plus sign attached to it. And if I right click here, I can go into details. Normally, Crystal Dust has 60 damage, it costs 11 stamina, and it's priority 3. But this move has a wind synergy, so what that means is that if the other TemTem on my board is a wind type, which it is, this move will actually do 80 damage instead of 60, and the priority will go up another level, which makes my crystal faster. So, not every synergy is that cut and dry. Some synergy moves apply statuses, some synergy moves apply extra buffs. They vary quite a bit. As you play the game and get more and more synergy moves, you'll be able to learn what they all do. But this does play a role in games. Making sure you have the right 2 TemTem out at the same time to make these synergies work can really make you a better player in terms of battling. So, those are my 5 tips. Just to quickly rehash, number 1, everything is a double battle. Number 2, TemTem use stamina, which is basically just a mana bar system from your normal video games. Number 3 is priorities, which impact your speed stat. Number 4 is hold moves, and number 5 is synergies. So we're going to kind of play out this battle. I'm going to use my synergy move on this TemTem, and then I'm going to use just a simple buffing move so he doesn't die too quickly. You'll see that my crystal went first because that priority is so high on the crystal dust move, he got to go first. So my Genki's a little bit low on health, that's fine. You'll see now that Mirror Shell is active. I can now use it. I don't have to, but I'm going to just to show it off. And then I'm just going to go into my items here, and I'll heal up my Genki a little bit. Now you'll notice in this round that the Pick-a-Pick I'm fighting actually went before my Crystal, and that's again due to priority. Crystal Dust has a very high priority, whereas Mirror Shell had a low priority, so it comes after the fact. And you can see again, I just used Mirror Shell. Now I can't use it again for another full turn. So keep that in mind. I can use Crystal Dust again. You'll see that my health is actually blinking because I'm going to overexert myself if I try to use Crystal Dust. And that's how much of my health it's going to take away if I go over that. So I'm just going to use Glass Blade. That won't hit my health at all. And then I think we can definitely finish this off this turn. Just like that. So that is battling in TemTem in a nutshell. Those are very simple techniques, but for anybody new coming into this game from Pokemon or other creature games, I think that's pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, feel free to put a comment and I will do my best to answer them. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, let me know. If you want to see more guides as they come out, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Otherwise, guys, I will see you next time.